of a document. What is a patent? A patent is actually a monopoly right. A patent is a monopoly right. Okay, monopoly. What does monopoly mean? Exclusive to you. Okay, exclusive to you. Monopoly. I know it's a board game, but you always play a board game, but you don't know what is the real meaning of monopoly. It's exclusive to you. Exclusive right given to you by the government. Alright? That is the patent. That's the concept of patent. It's an exclusive right, exclusive only to you right. And it's given by the government. It's called monopoly. It's called patent, okay? Monopoly. Now, when does the government give out a patent? When there's an invention. And therefore, this patent, this monopoly right given to him will therefore allow the owner of invention to use, to make reproduction of his invention to the exclusion of all other people. So only him and him only can use this invention. And he can't do that unless he has the protection of the government. The government guarantees him and gives him this monopoly right. So this monopoly right given to him by the government is called patent. Understand? So patent is one right only, okay, it's monopoly right. Okay? And so there must be primarily an invention. Okay? No invention, then monopoly right given to you over what? Okay? The other thing is that the government needs to know the exact details of the invention so that the monopoly right given to the owner by the government cannot extend beyond the invention. Understand? So prior to the government allowing this right to be given to him, the inventor will have to give full disclosure of the invention. Okay? No full disclosure, the government would not care about you. Right? No full disclosure, I don't know what right to give you. Okay, I don't know where your right begins and where your right ends. Understand? So this is a concept of a patent. So where do you give full disclosure of the patent? Where do you describe what kind, to what extent your patent should go? Alright, it is in a patent document. Okay? Who is lost already? First slide only, lost already. Okay? Get it, Alright. Now, what is an invention? What kind of invention can an inventor obtain a patent for? A lot of people tend to think invention necessarily means something that's very high tech, something that's gadgetry, something like a robot that moves. But invention could actually mean anything. If you look at the bullet points here, invention could be a product. It could be a process. Okay, a process that gives rise to a new technical solution. It could be a product or a process. Okay? It could be a method of doing things. Okay? It could be a method of doing things. It could be a composition of a new product. Ingredient A mixed with ingredient B, mixed with ingredient C in certain proportion. Okay? This is a new composition. Therefore, it is an invention within the meaning of patent law. Or it could be some kind of improvement, technical improvement on how certain things work. Okay? Just an improvement, incremental improvement. So this improvement could be termed an invention capable of obtaining a patent. Alright? Do you know anything? Do you know of any objects or any process that has a patent over it? You know, we are very obsessed or very concerned about drugs, medicines, drugs, having a patent. This drug manufacturing company having a patent over their drugs. Okay? How is a drug an invention? Which bullet point does it fall under? Yes? Which one? Which one? Which bullet point does it fall under? Fourth, technical improvement on how certain objects work. composition. Okay, the first one is not a bullet point. Okay. So the third one that says composition of new product, yeah, more likely composition. Depending on how you phrase it, it could be the first bullet point as well. Okay. A product or process that gives solution to a problem. Now, a patentable invention must have all of these three characteristics. First, again, this is something that you have to commit to memory as well. Okay. First, it has to be new or novel. Second, it must involve an inventive step. Third, it must be capable of industrial application. What are all these? New or novel? Let's go back to copyright last week. Yeah? When we say that a piece of work has to be original, we say that it has to, the creator has to expend skill, effort, and judgment that's independent in the course of creating the work. So we are concerned with the course of creation of the work. Okay, the course of creation of the work. To determine whether a piece of work is original or not. But in an invention under patents, the invention has been new or novel. This means that the invention must not already existed, or substantial parts of it must not already have existed. The technical term for it is called, the invention should not be part of the existing state of art, or the invention should not be prior art. Okay? This is what is meant by the invention as being new or novel. This means that if your invention, okay, has been published before, or it has existed elsewhere before, invented by someone else, okay, you may not have copied it, okay, but it has existed somewhere else. It has been described before, whether in print or by word of mouth, then the invention is not new or novel. This is different from copyright in that for a work to be original, it does not matter that your work looks the same as another person's work that has already existed before. Because to see whether your work is original, you look at the process of creating it. But in invention, new or novel means that you look at the result, look at the invention itself. Okay? So it does not matter that you have not copied this invention or copied this concept from anybody else. But so long as this concept or this invention already existed in whichever form, sometimes it already existed in the market, or not in the market, but as a product moving around somewhere else. Okay? The invention is not new or novel. And of course, if your invention can be found in another patent or in another patent application, people have already applied, another inventor elsewhere has already applied a patent for it, then your invention is not new or novel. Alright? So, many a times, you have an invention that is new or novel, and many a times, it is not found anywhere else. But then, you make it not new or novel by disclosing it. Okay, so as soon as you disclose it, okay, as soon as you disclose it, your invention is not considered new or novel. How do inventors make their invention not new or novel? They make it known to the public. They make it available to the public by word of mouth. They commercially exploit it. Exploit means to commercialize. Okay, to make money out of it. Feature it in an article or advertise in the press. Okay, they demonstrate. Sometimes they bring their invention, they go for exhibitions, and they demonstrate in front of the crowd. So the whole idea is, if you want to apply for a patent for your invention, you cannot do any of these things yet. Right? Because at the point in time when you apply for the patent, your invention must be new or novel. This is the first criterion that you have to satisfy. new or novel. So do none of these things. Okay, do none of these things. Keep your invention a secret. Only after you have made your application, the day after you have submitted an application for a patent, without the need to wait for the patent to be granted, you can go ahead and disclose your invention. Okay, you can go ahead and disclose your invention. Because after you have submitted your application for a patent, as part of the granting process, your details of your application will be published by the patent office anyway. Okay? But the day after you have made your application, you can go ahead and disclose. You can tell your mom, you can tell your colleagues, okay, you can do exhibitions, you can feature it in article, something, but the day after you have made the application. Okay? Fortunately or unfortunately, in making the application, sometimes you have to tell certain people. For example, if you're part of a team, you have to disclose to your team. The team will know anyway. Disclose to your boss. You have to disclose to lawyers, patent attorneys, auditors and accountants who will help with the patent application, who will also collectively decide for you whether you should or should not go ahead with the patent, how much it costs, whether it's worth the wait, and so on. So when you need to disclose before you apply for a patent, you need to disclose it in confidence. This means that it is necessary for you to get them to sign a confidentiality agreement or non-disclosure agreement. Okay, they are both the same thing, like confidentiality and non-disclosure agreement is the same thing, okay? But you disclose in confidence, meaning what I'm telling you is purely confidential. Let's sign this agreement before that. Alright? By the way, when you disclose in confidence, it's different from saying you disclose with confidence. In the exam, questions have been set, okay? What do you do if you need to disclose prior to application for patent? The answer is, I will disclose in confidence, not I will disclose with confidence. Now, second criterion that your invention has to meet would be an inventive step. Your invention must have an inventive step, and these are two definitions of what constitutes an inventive step. But it must be an improvement, and it must be not obvious to an expert in that field. Okay? Not obvious to an expert in that field. This means that necessarily, when you submit your application for an invention, for a patent, your invention will be examined by the examiner, will be looked upon closely by an examiner. And this examiner, the identity of this examiner varies according to which field your invention pertains to. So the IPOS, Singapore Patent Office, they will actually engage some expert to look at it. This expert may not even be a local person, okay? To actually look at it and make an assessment whether it constitutes an inventive step. How does he make an assessment? It means that he must actually acknowledge that this is an improvement over existing product and processes, and it's not obvious to him. Okay? This is the part. Now, in the examination, you are not required to make an assessment whether the invention, as is described in the question, constitutes an inventive step or not. Okay? Simply because it is not even a patent application. Okay? And simply because you are not the expert. Okay? It's just a case study given to you. You don't have to make a qualitative assessment. Remember, you must draw the line between making objective assessment and qualitative assessment. But from the case study, you should be able to tell whether the invention is new or novel or not, because the story will tell you whether it has been disclosed. Then you can make an assessment, objective assessment. Okay? He went back, tell his girlfriend, tell his mom, goes to his friends, show them drawings. Okay, this will be related in the story, and then you should be able to say that the invention is probably not new or novel by the time he decides to apply. Okay, but you are not able to assess just from the story whether the invention has an inventive step. All right. The third criterion is that it must have industrial application. What is industrial application? Industrial application is by far of the three the most easily satisfied criterion because the application of the meaning of the word industrial application is very loose. It means that so long as there's some kind of practical application, it is deemed to have industrial application. Industrial application doesn't mean that it has to go to a machine, it has to go to a factory to be manufactured. It means that it just has to have some kind of application. Okay? And it need not be tested. Your invention need not be tested to show the expert or the examiner that it works. Okay? So long as in theory, how you describe it, okay, appears to the examiner that it should have this kind of application. Right? Then there is an additional requirement that's under our Patents Act that says that sometimes, despite being satisfied the three criteria, the invention itself must not encourage offensive, immoral, or antisocial behavior. This gives the IPOS, okay, a white berth to decide whether or not to grant you a patent for an invention that to them encourages offensive, immoral, and antisocial behavior. Okay? I have not come across any application for patent that's been rejected because of this. Okay, because I also don't know what is offensive, immoral, and antisocial behavior. It depends on how the angle actually, right? Those of the guys who have served NS, the main weapon that you are trained in is the, what weapon were you training? Huh? Didn't serve NS. Guys who serve NS, what is the main weapon that you are training?
SAR-21.
SAR-21, yeah. It is a patented weapon. Okay, it's a patented invention. What is SAR-21 used for? Cooking? Gardening? What? What's SAR-21 used? What's the weapon used for? To get rid of people you don't like, right? So, isn't that offensive, immoral, and antisocial behavior? So, I wonder how they can have a patent for something like that. Right? So, like I said, the provision here is to give the IPOS a white berth to decide whether to grant or not to grant. Anyway, maybe the reason why they granted the patent is that Singapore is one of the world's main manufacturer and exporter of weapons, in case you don't know. Okay? So, if you are exporting all these things to make money, you have to have a patent on it. In case you export it, then people just copy it. Okay. How do you go about applying for a patent for your invention? First, you have to satisfy yourself that your invention is new or novel, and you have to be quite diligent in doing your searches. Is your invention prior art? Is your invention part of the existing state of the art? If it is, which parts? Okay, not new and novel, how new and novel? Alright. Second is you have to hand in something to the examiner. Okay? You have to submit to IPOS will hand it to the examiner, but IPOS will make sure that you hand in the correct thing to the examiner. What do you hand in to the examiner? It's called a patent specification. It's called patent specification. And this patent specification necessarily comprises of 4 parts. Alright? Abstract, description, drawings, and claims. Necessarily. Abstract is the short summary of the invention. Description and drawings are meant to complement each other. And then what comes later on, which is the most important part of the patent, is the claims section. The claims is the legal definition of the boundaries of the protection that you seek. Let me see whether it's on the slide. Yeah, okay. Look for the slide, about 3 slides now. Defines the scope, limits, and boundaries of protection requested by the applicant. Okay, it is the most essential part of the patent specification. So let's now take a look at this. Okay, this is a patent document And when the inventor submitted an application for a patent, of course he submitted the patent specification. And once the patent is examined and granted, the specifications, all four parts are reproduced in the patent document. They are reproduced in the patent document. Okay? Then the patent document itself carries a few other things as well. Okay? First is the name of the invention. Okay? La 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 la. Okay? It's very unsexy, very unglamorous. But that's how patents are named. Okay? They are seldom named by nicknames, Hello Kitty, or this rubbish. It usually describes exactly what is meant to protect. Alright? So if you look at it, there are two parts to this patent, or two parts to this invention actually. The first part speaks of an apparatus, so there's something that's physical. The second part speaks of a method. Okay, so these two combined together gives you the invention. Meaning the method cannot exist separately from the apparatus. The apparatus actually manifests, the method actually manifests itself in the apparatus. Okay, so patent, an invention can be a physical apparatus, an invention can be a method. Okay, but actually this one describes a board game. How the essential physical features of the board game, including the cards, the board, and then what the cards look like, what the board look like, and then how you play and what it's supposed to do. Okay, it's supposed to, it says teaches you what? Fundamental aspects of personal finance, investment and company. Okay, so as you can see, something as mundane as a board game, you can obtain a patent for it. It can be an invention if you properly know how to describe it. And then, who are the inventors? Can you see the word inventors here? Who is this person? The author of what? Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Any good? Don't know, huh? Depends on who you ask. Alright, so this guy, Robert Kiyosaki, he is the author of many books on financial accounting, on personal finance, personal financial management. Okay? So his series of books, I think it's in the 15th book by now. First one is, of course, like you know, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Alright, so he said, I have two fathers. Okay, one is rich, one is poor. He started off, it's a very sexy description of how you observe from these two fathers. Alright, and yeah, you can go and read that book. Beyond that book, I don't think it was anything else was good. Okay. So he was saying, fruit for thought, my poor father, right, my poor dad, right, is a university lecturer He's a university lecturer, very highly educated, but poor. I don't know why. He has a job in university, but he's poor. My rich dad, very little education, but he's a businessman and very rich. So he said he set off on this fact-finding reflection. So why? How come people are like that? I thought education is the key to success. So then he has his 15th book now. Okay. Then there are two inventors here, Robert Kiyosaki and Rolf Packer. Now, the inventors, as you will see later on, need not be the owner of the patent. Who is the owner of this patent actually? It is this company called Cashflow Technologies Incorporated. Okay, this company called Cashflow Technology Incorporated. And what is this thing called assignee? In law, we like to do the or and the E, yeah? Employer, employee. Okay, lessor, lessee. So assigner is assignee. Okay, if he who assigns is the assigner, he who gets assigned is the assignee. Okay, he who employs is the employer, he who got employed is the employee. Okay, so assigner. In this case, do you remember, if you're owner of intellectual property, you can sell a signed license mortgage, right? So a sign is to give. So the giver were the inventors, and then the company receives. So company became the owner. Okay, so when this patent was granted, it was therefore granted to the company. Do you remember why people like, why Kiyosaki and Tata likes to have a company to hold on to the patent?